So, a new mastery camo was introduced with yesterday's update 1.20 for Modern Warfare and Warzone, and along with that camo came a huge grind tethered to unlocking it. One weapon will take you a ton of time, and I'd maybe even go out on a limb and say it's even longer per weapon compared to getting it gold. But today I want to talk to you about how you can do this as fast and efficiently as possible, giving you some tips for every weapon category as we go along. That said, as we do that, let me know your thoughts down below on your thoughts of Obsidian, like it or not, and if you're attempting to grind it out, what weapons you're going to be unlocking it for. As well, if you are new to the channel and perhaps a part of that nearly 82% of viewers who are not subscribed, make sure you do so to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare and Warzone content on a daily basis. But anyways, let's get into it. First things first, let's tackle the camo at a base level. What's the requirements? How long does it take? And is it really worth it? Well, firstly, the requirements for Obsidian are this. The only prerequisite that you need is gold camo. It was previously rumored based off of a typo in the recent update preview blog that you'd need Damascus, but that was since corrected to display that you don't need the full suite of mastery camos, just the baseline of gold on whatever weapon you want to unlock it for. Once you have gold, you'll be able to see that the challenges for Obsidian show up as well as they do for Platinum and Damascus as well. These will then task you with a specific kind of grind for each weapon category, predominantly around kills, 15 of them in a match X amount of times, again depending on whatever weapon classification you're using. Those include the rifles tasking you with getting 15 kills in a match 200 times, SMGs 15 kills in a match 150 times, shotguns 15 kills in a match 150 times, LMGs 15 kills in a match 150 times, marksman and sniper rifles 15 kills in a match 125 times, pistols 15 kills in a match 100 times, launchers destroying kill streaks or vehicles 100 times, the riot shield getting just simply a total of 750 kills, and then the knife is kill 10 enemies in a match 125 times. So again, tasking you with different levels of, I guess, tediousness depending on whatever classification of weapon you're using. So pick and choose what weapons you want because it's going to take you a while. It will depend on how efficiently you manage your time in game and what you actually decide to play. You'll get it way faster in, say, Shipment than if you play exclusively Search or if you play Warzone. It'll be a taller task in those and sometimes may not even be entirely possible, or at least not without some excruciating amount of time put into the game. Now, admittedly, I made the mistake of not checking my overall time played when I started the grind for Obsidian to know where I ended up, but if I were to guess, it took me roughly about 6 hours in game of solely going for this camo, lobby surfing, and really playing some kill-heavy games to maximize my time. But for the casual player, that's going to be tough and it's going to be a lot to devote to. So really it comes down to if you find the camo worth it or not, because I mean, if you don't think it's cool, why would you put the time in, you know? Personally, I'm okay with the camo. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. It's kind of just there. I did it on the MP7. Will I do more? Maybe one or two, maybe the Growl and M13 since I use those in Warzone all the time. But other than that, I don't care too much to go for every single gun Obsidian, which, by the way, there are no plans currently laid out where if you get Obsidian on every gun, it will unlock another super secret camo. It hasn't been detailed if that's something that's in the pipeline for players that decide to do this on every single gun. I don't think that anybody may even make it that far, but we'll see. But I can also definitively say, though, that it's also not like World War II, where if you have Obsidian and Damascus, you get something else on top of that. It's not like World War II, where you could combine the two camos and get that even higher camo tier of, say, getting Chrome and Tiger to make Chrome Tiger. It doesn't work like that here in this one. It's not a super max mastery camo. After that, these two are just independently there. So I guess to answer the question of is it worth it, I guess that's up to you. Kind of a cop-out of an answer, so I apologize. But again, I'm just kind of there with it. I don't think that it's going to be as worth it to make me grind out every single weapon, but I might do one or two more here on top of that. But I do hope with this video and the footage provided that it can look to solidify your choice of either, yeah, you know what, I think I'll grind out my favorite weapon here for this, or nah, I'm good, I'll pass on that one. Hopefully this can provide some clarity for that, or at least allow you to solidify that thought on it. But that said, if you do decide to do it, let's talk about the best ways to burn through this camo. First thing to note is that, again, it does take time, but I've found a couple of things that I think can be insightful for the grind. First things first, unrelated to any gameplay style or any game mode you should be playing, it seems like kills stack, so you can knock out more than one 15 kill progression in one game. Ground War seemed a little bit buggy to me, but other than that, I was knocking out 3, 4, sometimes 5 ticks in a single game for shipment domination. Also, it seems like kills carry over between games. So theoretically, if you had, say, 29 kills, you wouldn't have hit that 2-tick mark to knock off 2 more towards your Obsidian progress. But that also isn't lost. Instead of it starting over at 0, the overall counter will kind of count that first kill as kill number 30 in the next match you play. So I'm not sure if that's a bug as for right now, but it seemed to work that way when I was unlocking it here for my MP7. So essentially, in essence, you really only need 1,500 to 3,000 kills total, depending on the weapon class you're using. Right now, I would also recommend lobby surfing Shoot the Ship while it's around for the next few days. For those that may be watching this later, don't worry, we'll cover in just a little bit here some tips for if it's not around and you can't just surf for shipment lobbies. But for the time being, while you have the opportunity to, definitely take advantage of Shoot the Ship. Shoot House is good, but shipment is definitely my preferred method here for this. Yes, you're going to die a lot more. Spawn killing, and of course the spawns don't really make it so you can grab those high kill streaks really easy, but you're practically always going to have an enemy in front of you, and racking up those 60, 70, 80 kill games is relatively easy with the right team, the right lobbies, and of course the right set of hands behind the sticks. While you're surfing Shoot the Ship for shipment lobbies, I would definitely recommend trying to get shipment domination. That is something that will allow you to have a relatively static amount of time in there, roughly 10 minutes or so here for this in terms of total play, which is a lot in the grand scheme of shipment. That will allow you to get a ton more kills than just, say, a standard TDM match, which is only 75 kills and you're done. At that point, you're going to be getting, on average, maybe 1 tick per game at that point. But whenever you play domination, it keeps you in the action and you can get, again, 3, 4, 5, maybe even upwards of that, more ticks towards that progression for Obsidian. So if you have the option, definitely search for domination on shipment. But let's talk about some stuff outside of Shoot the Ship if it's not around or it's not something that may be your relative cup of tea. The big things you want to start looking for are some kill-heavy game modes. TDM is something that, yes, you can do this just because it's quick, it's easy, it gets you in and out, and it's relatively less sweaty. I feel like the general population of Call of Duty will more so gravitate towards TDM rather than, say, Capture the Flag, Domination sometimes, Search and Destroy. You'll find more so hardcore niche pockets of player bases in those other game modes, but TDM relatively seems to have the most casual out of that, so it may be a bit more of an easier time going up against it, but it also at the same time may not offer the potential for as many kills total. Again, we're talking about how there's the limit of 75 kills. Maybe you get 1 tick towards your Obsidian progress, but maybe you don't. Maybe you join late, or maybe it's something where you get 1, but it takes a full 7-8 minutes to do that. You're not really efficiently managing your time, so you want to try and stack as many kills as possible. So for that, I'd recommend switching over to Domination. Again, longer lasting games with higher kill potential as a result. This is why shipment domination is so good, because it will last a relative constant of around 10 to 12 minutes, and you can rack up 70 to 100 kills if you're zoned in on shipment. Obviously, you probably won't do that on a standard 6v6 map, but it is something that will allow you to get more kills than just, say, 15 to 20, maybe 30 or so, as opposed to a standard TDM match. Hardpoint isn't terrible. It'll allow you to play a little bit longer than TDM, but maybe not as long as a domination. It can, but I think that really is dependent on the players that you have in that lobby, whether or not they play the objective, because if you're not on the objective, the timer in the background goes down, but it allows you to get those kills and should hopefully let you play a little longer. Game modes I'd avoid, however, are things like FFA. This will limit yourself to 30 kills max, and again, thus only 2 ticks max towards your Obsidian progress. And the way that free-for-all plays in this game, it's slow, and so it's not efficiently managing your time. Search and Destroy is also something else that 15 kills in a match may be a bit hard to come by for the average player. We talked about how kills will kind of carry over, and it's really just an overall number of kills, but again, still not necessarily efficiently managing your time if you're trying to get this done as quickly as possible. Headquarters, the respawn delay and no respawn when the HQ is capped takes too much time out of the game for me, so I'd mark that one off. Gunfight and other game modes like Infected that randomize your weapons, that's not really going to help you either. And again, Warzone, kills may be few and far in between for some players, so that's again not efficiently managing your time. So while you're searching for TDM, domination, and maybe hardpoint matches, the next thing I'd say is to surf for smaller maps, especially with game modes like domination. Smaller maps will keep you in the action a lot more as opposed to the larger maps, so you don't die and have to run 15-20 seconds to get back into the action, potentially only to die all over again. The smaller the map, the more you'll always be in the action and thus getting more kills, and with, say, domination and hardpoint, you'll have longer time to rack up those kills for it. The next thing I can best say is to run with a party. Communication is always something that helps out greatly, and it's easy as a result to predict movement of the enemy team. If somebody calls out, hey, they're rounding C flag container, you'll know where to look and where to pre-fire perhaps, and thus will allow you to get a kill. Is it something that is a necessity? No, I did my Obsidian grind here on the MP7 predominantly solo. I played a couple of games with my friends, but other than that was only just me, but it is something that does help. But overall, the biggest thing that I can suggest is to have the patience with this, because again, it is going to take a while. It is going to take a lot of in-game playtime and may not be something you get in one day. But overall, that's my tips here for Obsidian. I think that I'm going to be rounding back next week or the week after with an ultimate guide for Obsidian. Once I knock out a couple of these, I may try and get at least one for every category, so I'm familiar with absolutely everything. But that said, you may see a follow-up here with this with more in-depth tips for each weapon, each classification of weapon class, and so on and so forth. But for now, that's where we're going to wrap it up. So I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Anything you guys really enjoy or dislike here out of the Obsidian camo that was added in, any weapons you're going to be grinding out for this on, whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get content outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But said, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.